Let's talk about mediumship. Let's talk about what it is. Let's talk about how it can look differently for different people or how it could work differently for different people. And let's talk about how I experienced it myself. So, mediumship is basically the ability to be able to connect to your past loved ones and your spirit team and ancestors and such, right? So, how it can look, how does that look for different people? So we all have clairs, right? So when I say the clairs, I mean like clairvoyance, which is like the gift of sight, clair augustance, which is like the gift of smelling, the clair sentience, which is the gift of feeling, clairaudience is the gift of hearing, right? So it can look different for different people depending on like how much you're developed and how your gift works. So growing up, my mom was a psychic medium. She would always see the dead. She'd always get images of in her head and she would see them and they would talk to her and she would read people. Sometimes she'd stop them when we would be out, but that's only when she was called. She wasn't just going up to people. She'd ask them if they felt comfortable because there'd be like a spirit there that would really want to talk to that person. But obviously you want to make sure the person is able to like hear that piece of information. Not everybody's open to it. So you have to be very mindful. I'm not telling people to go up the street and go talk to people, but there were like a couple of times where I did witness it and I would see people cry and it'd be a whole thing and then they would hug her. I mean, this is what went on my whole life. So basically, how mediumship worked for her was that she described it as if like it's like almost like you're in a room and then there's like a group, I guess like see them like a sea of people and they would walk forward. Somebody would walk forward and then she would describe and the person would talk to her and that's how she would see it. For me though, I experienced mediumship a little different. And the way that I knew that I had the gift even was I would read for people. And eventually, my first encounter was a man. I was reading a girl and I could feel somebody behind me. It kind of like tapped me on the shoulder. And basically, he made me feel at first how he passed. So at first I didn't know what was going on. I'm going to be honest with you. I had no idea. I was very confused. I knew it was a man because I could get, and the gift of claircognizance, which is the gift of knowing, hearing things in your head, right? Like a thought almost. So I kept hearing like, I'm here. Like I passed tragically. I OD'd. And today's my death anniversary. And I'm like, right? I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm losing it. There's something wrong with me. But then he kept nudging. So I was like, did you lose somebody today? Like, is somebody's death anniversary today? And did they pass from an OD? Because they're telling me they didn't. It was accidental. And in the middle of the reading, I start choking. And I'm like, I'm choking. So I'm like, did they choke on something? And they did. They ended up choking to death because they had died from an OD. So after that, she starts saying, yes, her boyfriend, it was his death anniversary. That's exactly how he passed. And it was interesting because I have cards and I've always been able to connect really well to the cards. Any card, you give me a card deck, anything, I can connect to it. For the most part, there's some decks I don't like, but that's a whole other segment. So there was like certain things in the cards that were also like making me see things that I wouldn't normally see that helped me to connect to him. Like I can't explain it, but he was talking about, in my head, he kept making me feel like she was really, really short. And I could feel the feeling of being really short and him feeling really tall. And he kept making me feel like he would crack jokes about it. And she was like, yeah, he would always make jokes about that. So for me, it was always like a feeling and a thought. It wasn't like I was verbally hearing them. It wasn't like I could see things. It was, I could feel how that person was in life, how they passed, and they would make me hear thoughts in my head. And that's how I would interpret it, right? And it's not to say that I haven't, since like the time has gone on, I have developed it in other ways where I do get imagery. I still work on it. But I do get imagery depending on the spirit. They'll like show me something. There's been certain people that have come in and certain spirits that have come in where I've seen things so clear that I can reach out and touch something. It just really depends on where my energy is and everything else. But that's always been how it's felt for me, is a feeling and a thought. And I would just know, I would start to feel things and know that there was a difference between feeling somebody's energy and reading them one-on-one and feeling what mediumship was, where I always would feel like this wave of energy that comes in, and it's sometimes it could be a little overwhelming depending on how the spirit passed. But yeah, it's really interesting, and mediumship can look so different for all of us. Some of us hear things and hear voices, or some of us hear thoughts, and some of us see visually, and some of us feel things. So just because one person reads one way doesn't mean that it's going to be the same for everybody. And it's really embracing what feels right to you and leaning into that, because there are ways to utilize certain gifts and still give an amazing reading that feels validating to the person. And it's not always going to be in the way that you thought. So the less that you put a thought, and when I mean this, if you're trying to develop, or there's somebody that wants to go into this, you have to learn how to separate your feelings from the people that you're reading. You have to make sure that your mental health is in a good state when you're doing any of these things. You really want to take the time to really hone in on things and develop. For me, it came to me. I didn't go searching for it. I mean, again, my mom was always, it was, she always had the gift. So I'm assuming that also, helps. But yeah, I just wanted to give a little forward, a little background on things. And yeah, I hope you liked today's video.